means let's meet our special guest for the morning instead. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Peter Purves. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much.
Welcome to the show. Now, one of Blue Peter's best-loved and longest-serving presenters, Peter spent 10 years as part of the Dream Team with Val Singleton and John Noakes, but you didn't want the job at first, is that right?
Interesting. Well, no, I didn't, because it wasn't an acting job, but I needed work. And when I was eventually offered it, which is quite a convoluted story, but when I was finally offered it, I took it, and it was a 6-month contract. And I thought, well, I'll take it as a stopgap for 6 months, and then the acting work will flow in again, and that'll be fine. The option wasn't on my side. When the 6 months were up, it was on their side to keep me or fire me, and they kept me. And when the next 6 months were up, I didn't want to leave anyway.
Now, Peter's got a new autobiography that's just come out. Here it is. It's called Here's One I Wrote Earlier. It's an enjoyable, measured memoir of his time from early childhood in Lancashire, his life as a teacher in East London, before deciding to tread the boards. But it was your mum, Florence, who really sparked the interest in acting, wasn't it?
I suppose it was, yeah. It's a pathetic story, really. We used to have a hotel in Blackpool, and my dad used to sing. He had a great bass voice, and he'd been a recording artist. You know, he'd recorded as a boy soprano. When Ernest Luff did this wonderful record of "Oh for the Wings of a Dove," that most people probably know. My family always thought it was my dad's record. Actually, it wasn't. I've heard the two played next to each other, and I know he sings differently, but it wasn't the same one. But he had a beautiful voice. So he used to entertain. He had a brother who had a good voice. His mother used to play the piano rather well, and they did all that. And the sort of Christmas at the hotel was, let's have a dinner party. And they played dance music on the radiogram, and they'd roll the carpets back, and all that stuff went on. And my mum used to dress me up as a waitress in a black satin frock. I was seven. There were 2 other waitresses. They were only young girls, both of them. I'm still in touch with one of them, actually. She lives in Essex and comes and sees me about once a year. She's called Joyce. And so there were 2 waitresses, and me used to wait on the tables. I was a 7-year-old dressed up in the black with the makeup and all the rest. And I thought that was quite fun. I should have become a drag queen, you know, but didn't, yeah.
Why do mums do that? I wonder. Why
I always suspected, well, later, when I started to analyse it, probably only when I was writing the book, really, I think my mother perhaps wanted a girl. And that's it. No, but I mean,
you know, I've often wondered that my mum had the same feelings about me. True.
Yeah.
But
true.
Peter, am I right in thinking that you were in the first series of Doctor Who?
Not the first. I took over from the original people in that.
Right.
Bill Russell and Jacqueline Hill were the 2 companions, were school teachers,
right.
with William Hartnell. Oh. And I took over. They'd done 80 episodes when I joined.
Oh, there we go.
So, you know...
So what part did you play?
I played a guy called Stephen Taylor. It was quite funny, actually, because that was a brilliant serial, actually. That was called The Massacre of St Bartholomew's Day, which is a little-known bit of religious French history. Great script, written by John Le Carrotti. But when I joined the show, I'd gone for an audition for a part. Again, I was broke. It happens to actors.
Familiar tale.
I went to see this. The director was called Richard Martin, an absolutely lovely man, and he was casting a serial of Doctor Who that had giant insects, and they wanted actors who could move. And I've been in the chorus at the Palladium, so I reckoned I could move a bit. Anyway, I'd also, about 3 months earlier, done a play about Blackpool. I'm a Blackpool lad, as you mentioned, and he was a photographer on the Golden Mile. This character. And it was an armchair theatre? Armchair theatre on ABC that became Thames. It hadn't been seen. And I went for this audition on a Monday, and the Sunday previous, the play was shown. Richard had seen it, and I went, and he said, I'm not giving you one of these parts. There's nothing for you to do. It's a waste of time for you. You're better than that, which was very flattering, but I needed the work. He said, when I'm casting people, then I'll think of you. And usually you take that with a pinch of salt, because it's the kind of thing that you get told by directors on a regular basis, you know, just fob you off. And I took it with a pinch of salt, but he did. He was as good as his word, and he cast me unseen playing a comedy role as a guy called Morton Dill, who was a hillbilly. He was on a tour, a visit to New York, and on the top of the Empire State Building, the TARDIS arrived. Out comes the Doctor and his companions. He has a scene with them. They disappear. On comes another time machine. Out come the Daleks. I take the mickey out of them for 5 minutes. And they go away. It was a nice comedy scene. And at the end of that recording, which, you know, we recorded as live, but as we finished the recording, the producer, who was Verity Lambert, and the story editor, Dennis Spooner, came onto the set and said, would you come and have a drink with us over the road? We used to do this at Riverside Hammersmith, and the pub over the road was called Studio 3. And so they said, come over and have a drink with us. And when I got there, they said, I don't know if you know, but Bill Russell and Jacqueline Hill are leaving in 3 weeks. Would you be interested in taking over? I mean, literally, it was like that.
I mean, I got into it a little bit later. I was born in the year that you appeared in Doctor Who, 65. So I wasn't until Patrick Troughton. I just remember that when he would come on, I was literally, I know he was supposed to be he scared the living daylights out of me. He was more frightening than the Daleks. Now, Eric has a question from our audience, Peter.
Indeed. So this is Tom. So, Tom, what's your question? Is it true you auditioned to be James Bond?
Funnily enough, yes, but I never got as far as the audition. I went for an interview. I think they were seeing most of the young actors in London at the time.
Who was this?
It was just after Sean Connery.
Okay.
And it's when they cast George Lazenby.
Oh, okay. I imagine.
Who only did the one film. Yeah. And in fact, I did.
Should have cast you. There might have been more.
Well, funnily enough, a very good friend of mine got shortlisted, a guy called Michael McStay, who was... Do anyone remember a series called No Hiding Place, which was a police story? And he was one of two coppers. He and Johnny Briggs were the two policemen. And he auditioned for it. He looks actually rather like George Lazenby, and he should have got the part. Okay. He would have been brilliant.
Now, Blue Peter.
Yeah.
Favourite memory?
Oh, I've got hundreds of them. I mean, you can't go anywhere without talking about the elephant. I mean, that's just a great...
Little Lulu.
Lulu the elephant, which was wonderful.
Whoopsie, as Michael Crawford has said.
Did absolutely everything. The thing is that the studio floor is painted. You know, we had a painted floor, and it's water paint. And of course, if it gets wet, it's like ice. So we gave it a bucket of water, it wheezed, so we've now got a very slippery surface. It poos on it as well. It steps on Johnny Noakes' foot. It won't leave the set, and in the end, it drags its feet to do it all. I mean, you have no chance of staying.
And it's all live as well. That's what people forget. It's all live.
Funnily enough, now that is a very strange thing. It was absolutely as live. We recorded, but the whole show was recorded. We were going to Sri Lanka, then Ceylon.
You have a TV fakery story going on here.
No, it was live. Nothing was altered. We recorded it on the Wednesday when we should have been live on the Thursday because we were going to Sri Lanka on the Friday morning. And we just wouldn't have had the time to get ourselves sorted out and everything. So the show was recorded on the Wednesday, and it was transmitted exactly as it was recorded, without any edits at all, the following day, which I found extraordinary. I always felt it was live because we did it as we normally do a show. So we assumed, at the end, we left. You know, you don't do retakes, nothing.
Okay.
So assume it was live. It was absolutely as it happened.
Now, Blue Peter. Valerie Singleton surprised many of us with some of her revelations.
Didn't surprise me.
Didn't know.